Welcome to the S.T.A.R Podcast.
Whoa. S.T.A.R Podcast.
Welcome to the S.T.A.R Podcast, hosted by Nat. Each week, we share tips and stories from safety, trucking, and recruitment, and everything in between. Listen now.
Welcome back to the S.T.A.R Podcast. Today we're joined by Sabrina Osso, founder of Osso Safe, an organization dedicated to raising awareness and providing practical strategies to prevent violence both in the home and in the workplace. Sabrina brings a powerful perspective to a topic that affects far more people than we realize, shining a light on how we can recognize risks early, create safer environments, and support one another in meaningful ways. This is an important conversation, one rooted in awareness, prevention, and empowerment. Sabrina shares thoughtful, actionable tips that can help individuals and organizations take proactive steps towards safety, while reminding us that creating safer spaces start with understanding and open dialogue. I want to thank Sabrina for being vulnerable and sharing personal stories, and I also just want to say that we do dive into some fairly sensitive subjects that I just wanted to warn it might be sensitive to some listeners. So I just wanted to mention that, but it's a really great episode. I was definitely shocked by some of the statistics that she shared, and she did share some statistics based out of the United States, but it's still applicable here in Canada, absolutely. So I want you to take a listen and welcome Sabrina to the show.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. I think it's such an important subject, so I'm excited to chat with you today.
Yes, likewise.
So I was hoping, I know for myself, I went and I listened to a lot of your podcasts, your TEDx talk, a bunch of different things, but for anyone who's not familiar, can you share just a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today, like a few career highlights?
Sure. My name is Sabrina Osso from Osso Safe. Feel safe where you live, learn, work, and play. We create and maintain respect in homes, workplaces, and schools. I'm a TEDx speaker, a children's book author, a real estate agent, and a dancer. I use all of that to create and maintain respect in homes, workplaces, and schools, but with the main focus in homes. Because we say at Osso Safe, if your home is safe, then everything else will fall into place. I'm a survivor of violence. My father beat my mother on a regular basis. My mother would beat me, so I know firsthand how traumatic it is to live in that type of environment. I was just trying to survive, just trying to get through. When you live in that type of environment, your life is stolen. It's stolen. So you have to wait until you're ready financially, or if someone can take you in, somebody safe. Unfortunately, I had no one to take me in at all. So I had to wait until I was 21 to move out. So I wish I had moved out at 18, but yeah, hindsight bias. But yeah, and actually Osso Safe was born out of a one-woman show that I wrote, choreographed, and performed. And I'm proud to say I actually performed it with my dance students at the time. This was a number of years ago, and I hope to revive it one day. But the name of the show is called Home Sweet Home ? I play different women being abused. She goes to her good place. That's where the dancing comes in. But then she's pulled back into the terror of violence. The show ends really strong, really empowering. And Leslie, I did a lot of research for the show, and I could not believe the statistics that I was finding. So I said to myself, I need to make this into a business, a bona fide business with products and services that could really help people. So that's how Osso Safe was born.
First off, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. I can't imagine it would be awful. So I don't know what else to say other than I'm sorry that you had to experience that. But I did hear something that you said was you took the pain and you turned it into something positive, right? To try to help and try to raise awareness. So I think what you did is so brave and amazing. So I think that's great that you took that and you created Osso Safe. That's a great accomplishment. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Right. Turning pain into power, basically.
Right.
Yeah. We say at Osso Safe, You have one job as a survivor, one crucial job, and that is to break the cycle, to break the cycle every which way you can, and to not repeat it, not for yourself, not for your partner, not for your children, certainly. That's your number one job.
So I was listening to your TEDx talk, which I thought was very interesting. So I thought it was interesting because I believe the title is If You're a Victim of Home Violence, Don't Leave, Stay, which I thought, oh, that really caught my attention. I thought that was so interesting. So I wasn't sure if you could share a few details about that and why it's important to listen to.
Sure. Thank you so much for listening to it. Yes, I think the title and my approach was what got me the TEDx talk. It wasn't a usual, typical take on home violence, basically. So the title definitely caught their eye, and I thought long and hard about my business and how I wanted it structured and how I wanted to have it introduced into the market, into the public. And if you're in a bad relationship, you entered a real estate contract somehow with that person, whether you rent, whether you own, whether you have a mortgage or not, you're married, you cohabit, you live together in some capacity. Well, why should you leave? You got beat up, you got verbally, physically, sexually abused, the combination of any of those. If you have children, it makes it infinite worse. Not 10 times, 20 times, 30, infinite worse. A big portion of how I structured my business is both women and men could be victims. It's horrible either way, whether the woman is the victim or the male is the victim. It's pretty much the same. The horror is the same. What is 100% the worst case scenario are children. Children are the ones that suffer the most. I should know I was one of them. So that abuser has to go, not you. So we created at Osso Safe the Osso Safe certification for properties. It's our core product, and that entails for the property owner to purchase the Osso Safe Home Sweet Home package. We could go into that a little bit later in the interview, but basically we are saying you stay right where you are. It's the abuser that has to leave and get help, but he or she is not returning. Not to the property, not to the complex, not to the house. You had your chances. When you put that key in your lock, you should feel like it's home and not hell. You should feel like it's your sanctuary and not a war zone. So we flip the script. So that's why the title, If You're a Victim of Home Violence, Don't Leave, Stay. It's the focus on put the accountability where it needs to be, and that's on the abuser.
That's very interesting. So when I was listening to, because this is a subject that's fairly new to me. Like we haven't talked about it a lot on the podcast, but I think it's so important. So that's why I'm so happy that you could join us today. But what I wanted to talk about was violence in the workplace. However, once I started listening to you, I thought, I guess it probably starts at the home, right? Does it kind of go hand in hand, or are they separate, or do you have any insights into that?
Yes, excellent question. How you are at work is how you are at home. How you are at home is how you're going to be at work. Now, abusers will hide it. They'll put on that mask. They will, but rest assured that mask will be revealed and taken down pretty quickly, because abusers they're violent. They have to exhibit power. Look at me. They have the me monster complex big time. Look at me. Look at, and I will humiliate you. I will embarrass you in front of your boss. If the person is the boss, I will humiliate you in front of your coworkers. My father would do that all the time to my mother. I can't tell you, we would go shopping at the mall. People can't even understand, like, how does it work and what are the mechanics and how does that happen, especially if you don't come from violence. My father would humiliate my mother for buying pajamas or maybe going right instead of left to get to the store. Or I have vivid memories of this, and he would yell and scream and belittle her, where everybody would be looking and seeing, and And not one person ever said to me or my mother, I'm so sorry, or tell him to shut up, or who do you think you, anything. And I'll always remember that because I don't do that. When I see it, rest assured, I do say something. People have told me, Sabrina, be careful. He or she could pull out a gun, a knife. I get it. But the likelihood of that happening is very small because it's like when I see children being abused and the parent is with them or whoever it is, make it about the children that they see somebody's on their side. That's what's important. Like, oh my gosh, I'm not crazy. Daddy's acting so crazy and he always makes me feel bad. That lady or that man, that woman or man said, wow, I just saw them yell at daddy. He was wrong or mommy was wrong. That counts for everything. That's what I encourage people to say something. Anything, it could even be as simple as, excuse me, sir, are you okay? Ma'am, are you okay? I'm just checking, to kind of jolt them a little bit and not be
Right.
in that abuser mode, and you need
Right.
to step it back and take it down. You are wrong. You're the one that needs to be ashamed. The workplace, I mean, I've seen it, like I've witnessed it in the workplace where any conversation can turn into a war. And if they're like that in public, imagine how they are in private. Imagine,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we need to nip it in the bud right away. Don't wait. Say, excuse me, call them out right away. Don't wait, and document it. I have some statistics like for 2023 fatalities due to violence in the workplace. 740, which I'll get to, 740 non-fatal, but still violent, were 57,610 in 2021, 2022. And this is in the United States alone.
Hmm.
73% were female, non-fatal victims, female. And in 2022, 80 were female fatalities. So they were killed on the job. And when I say that,
Really?
yeah, it could be in the parking lot, it could be at work, like in the workplace. And in the US, every year, approximately 2 million people are victims of non-fatal workplace violence, so incidents.
Wow.
It's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot, and there's no excuse for it. You don't want to ignore this. You don't want to kind of, it's none of my business. That's really antiquated, detrimental, shooting yourself in the foot thinking. You're involved. You're responsible for your workers. The moment that they set foot on your property, the workplace property, to the moment that they leave. Our seminars, our Osso Safe seminars for the workplace, is geared towards, we make the connection between home and work and home. It's very important because abusers don't separate that. They don't. And victims either, actually, because victims, some of the warning signs of a workplace victim, eyeglass shades around their eyes, and then they'll say, no, I fell. Meanwhile, there's a black eye behind there. It's hot outside and they're wearing long sleeves. Oh,
Hmm.
I feel cold. It's very air conditioned in here. Yes, that could be true. But if they're moving like kind of restricted and then you see slashes, burns, bruises, that's not because of the weather. That's because they got abused. If they're very sensitive about talking about their home life, as simple as, how was your weekend? That could be a trigger, a definite trigger. How was your weekend? Did you take that trip? It could be very triggering, and they avoid they avoid the subject. Another sign is change in personality. When they were first hired, they were outgoing, they would go out with friends, they were very spirited. But then as time progresses, they're isolating themselves, they're not seeing their family as often, they're not seeing their friends as often. What happened? They're coming in late to work. The absenteeism has increased. These are all signs. It could be also that, yeah, maybe they're going through a death in the family. Maybe a family member is sick. They have to take care of them. But usually people will talk about that, right?
Right.
So if they're not talking about it, chances are it's violence, it's abuse, it's chaos, it's dysfunction. We encourage that to say something to innocent, very, and you don't have, as a workplace coworker, you don't have to feel like a therapist that it's your problem, it's your responsibility to fix this. No, not at all. But to just listen and say, look, if you ever want to talk, I'm here to listen, and mean that sincerely, and not push any like your agenda on them where you have to leave and you have to end this, and wow, this is terrible, and blaming them. You don't want to do that. They don't want, they're doing the best that they can. They're just trying to stay alive. And with the kids, I mean, it's just, it's chaos. It's chaos. And we encourage the workplace, like the supervisors, the superintendents, get us into their properties, because we will do a blanket education. We don't single anyone out. There's no, who here is a victim? Who here is an abuser? We don't do that. That's not the right approach. A blanket education, warning signs, facts, statistics, what constitutes a good relationship? What are the warning signs of a bad relationship? What are examples of workplace violence? Children, empowering children, giving them voice and choice, because all of that is part of the workplace. People have kids. People have children that they have to take care of. Another big thing about this is sexual harassment in the workplace. That is huge, huge. And we talk about that at Osso Safe. 81%, this is 2018 statistics for the US, 81% of women and 43% of men have experienced sexual harassment in the workplace.
Really?
Underreporting is 80%. So what I just told you about the 81 and the 43% is a lie. Not because I'm lying, but it's not painting the whole truth. In fact, I say that in my TEDx talk. Like I think I even said it that way, like I just lied to you, all those statistics, because it's underreported. There's people that just don't say anything. And 1 in 7 women and 1 in 17 men have changed jobs, quit, or requested reassignments due to sexual harassment.
Really? Wow.
So, yeah.
So do you have any tips or things that coworkers could do or managers could do if they think maybe someone, because I know it's a sensitive subject, and like you said, some people just don't want to think about it or they don't want to get involved, but what are some things people could do?
Yes, like I said, listen, just offer to listen.
We're in Canada, so if a company wanted to get your training, do you offer it in Canada? Like, is there a way to take it online or?
Yes, absolutely. We will do virtual trainings. We will travel. We just work it out with the client, or if they prefer virtual, we will do virtual. Yes, we're in the tri-state area. We will go anywhere across the US and abroad.
So what's the best way for people to reach out to you or to learn more about you?
Yes, well, our website is ossosafe.com. Everything that I stated is on the website. We are on all the major social media platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. The 2 platforms that we dedicate just to children, because children are at the heart of what we do. We are giving them voice and choice. The social media is YouTube and TikTok, dedicated just to children. Our children's book is on Amazon.com. It's sold. And in the book, I explain about the difference between respect and disrespect, abuse and non-abuse. Those are the best ways to reach us.
Amazing. Well, I just want to thank you again for coming on here and sharing. I mean, your story is vulnerable, so I appreciate you sharing that, because I'm sure there's so many people out there based on your statistics that will resonate with that. So I appreciate that. And thank you for sharing about your training and about, the stats that I wasn't aware of. So thank you so much. I think it's such an important subject, and I think it's a good topic that we need to talk more about. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Leslie. This was so wonderful. You were a wonderful host. Thank you for the opportunity.
Wow. S.T.A.R. Podcast.